You know what the hardest part about travel vlogging is? It's not the gear, it's not getting cinematic shots, it's actually balancing good filmmaking with enjoying the moment. And that's why I have 5 tips for you today, actually 6 plus a little bonus one, that make your travel vlogs better while keeping everything fun and easy. And I will also do a little Q&A at the end of this video. But we're hiking a mountain today here also. We're talking about that because I moved to Hua Hin here in Thailand about 2 months ago, but I didn't really get a nice swim yet in the ocean, aside from one where it wasn't really enjoyable. So I hope to find a really nice beach here behind the mountain. Let's go! Okay, it seems to be a little more challenging than I expected. But now I really have to go through caves here. Oh, I can hear bats. Quiet, quiet, quiet. There are bats here. Oh yeah, one is flying here. It's beautiful in the morning. It makes you feel alive. There's a snake somewhere. Small one, here. Did you see it? That was tough. I don't know what snake it is, if it's dangerous or not. It was here, and I just wanted to grip there, just wanted to put my hands there. Now I feel awake. Was just recently on the way to Cranberry Dam when I reviewed the Shirui anamorphic autofocus lens. There saw a big one, like, I don't know, 2 to 3 meters, probably 2.5 or so. Well, that was a beauty. I think it was probably a red snake or something like that, where the farmers live. That they live in rough conditions. But honestly, there we're already at the viewpoint, which is nice. But on the internet they said it's so hard to go here, but it took me like 10 minutes and I was slow because I had to film myself. It's not hard at all. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful here, but let's get to the meat of this video. My first tip is, this is squirrel again, what the fuck? Ah, no, it's gone. This is so fast. Anyway, my first tip is that you should only or mostly get cinematic shots where you really focus on getting cinematics when you have the time to do so, because when you're running around, traveling, shooting on the go, vlogging or whatever, you're mostly focused on telling a story or capturing the shots that you need to get all the information across that you want to have in your video. And that makes it hard sometimes on the go to capture cinematics, because those shots oftentimes take a bit more time. Take this shot here, for example. It's not even the most cinematic one, it just looks a bit nicer and more different than what you usually see. And that took me about 5 minutes to shoot, because I had to walk back and forth between me, or the position where I wanted to be, and the camera, because I had to check my framing all the time. It was too far away to check it on my screen. And of course I would never do that when I'm with a guide or a group or so and we have to keep walking. That was where we took a little lunch break for 20 minutes where I was able to take the time for this shot. Then if you're looking at this shot here where they're walking over the bridge, that was a good one. I could do it on the go, but that was because they kept walking while I was quickly getting the shot. I just saw it while we passed by, and there I could get it. So there we didn't really take a break, but I just had my intuition telling me, hey, this is nice when I get a shot behind the bushes there off the bridge. So it's also like over time, while you're on the go, you develop an eye for such shots, and that makes it easier for you to get them even while you're going. But especially in the beginning, when you don't have this intuition, it's important to take your time whenever you have it to capture cinematics and really focus on that. So this is how you capture your hero shots. But by the way, be okay with having not all of your shots perfect, because you can't when you're on a go. It's just most of your shots will probably be 50 to 80% good, and that's totally fine. It's travel. It's also good if it looks a bit authentic. Sun goes up. I don't want to get a sunburn, so we have to keep going. Can't really see the beach yet, but the view itself is pretty stunning here. Feels a bit Mediterranean here, like Italy and stuff. The waves are getting louder and louder. Coming close, oh, it's so beautiful here. That's not cool. If it's low tide, you can just walk over the big beach here to the small one that I want to go to, and on the internet it looked like you have to hike, so yeah, basically hiked for nothing. Oh my god. I just saw another snake, couldn't film it, it was too quick, also a small thin one, not that exciting, but man, this is full of snakes here. Okay, I might have been a bit too excited. It still keeps going for quite some time. It's going up and down all the time. It's quite exhausting. Okay, that finally seems to be the right beach. We're getting closer. Okay, that does not look good. Where's the beach? That is so stupid. Oh, I hiked all the way for the beach. That was not planned. My god. Guess that's how life goes sometimes. It's also good because we only talked about one point or one tip so far, and now we have a lot more time to do the rest. And that leads me to the next point, which is that you should, and my next point is that you should capture more static shots instead of moving your camera around all the time, because instead of having to move your camera around or even have to change settings for slow motion or so, you can just hold the camera static in your hands, get a static shot, and it usually is enough. It's usually enough for storytelling, and if your framing is nice, especially, or whatever is in front of you looks nice, then this is also a nice looking shot, and you can get it straight out of your hand. You don't have to set anything up, you just can get it directly, keep the camera rolling for 5 to 10 seconds, usually that's what I do, and you got the shot. And by the way, that's also something that I do when I want to tell stories, when I want to capture something happening around me or people talking or so, because I know when something happens and I move the camera around, it becomes a lot more likely that I will mess it up and I will have to shoot again, but oftentimes I can't shoot it again, and that's why it's always safer to at least get one static shot first, and then if you still have a bit of time or so, then you can get some camera movement or whatever you want there. You can make things a bit more complicated after the fact. So capture more static shots, it makes it faster, and it ensures that you get more usable footage. Finally arrived at the big beach, so I will at least get a swim here. It's not the nice, small, tropical, secret beach that I've been hoping for today, but it still looks quite nice. So let's talk about gear. There are essentially two things that you hear on YouTube and somewhere else. That's at first that gear doesn't matter, and also that gear matters. And what gear doesn't matter essentially means is that you can totally use your iPhone or whatever you have today to capture stories, to get information out there. And there are also lots of YouTube channels that are very successful doing that, only using their phone. So there's absolutely no reason anymore to hold back just because you don't have a good camera or something like that. But on the other hand, it is also true that you need a proper camera to get certain looks. Of course, especially when you shoot an Apple lock on your phone, I've mentioned that many times on this channel, you can totally also get shots on your phone that are hard to distinguish or sometimes even impossible to distinguish from shots from your normal cameras, but that usually affects shots that don't have lots of depth of field, where the background isn't really blurry, and you also get more color fidelity and a bit more detail with proper cameras, and you can change lenses, what is a huge difference. So while it's perfectly fine to start using your phone in the beginning, you definitely want to switch to a better camera in the future, but there's also another reason for that, and that is that, in my opinion, it is easier and faster to get good shots with proper cameras. The reason is simply that you have all those buttons on pro bodies like the A9 here, but also A7s, for example, from Sony, or Fuji X-H2S, or the Canons, etc., or Nikon, Panasonic. They all have similar bodies here where you get all the buttons and dials. And the good thing is that here my hands and my fingers are exactly in the position where they have to be to quickly change all the settings to set my camera up for the next shot. So it usually just takes me less than a second to quickly get the exposure right and stuff when I'm in manual mode, which you should to get good looking footage. But on my phone, I would always have to tap the screen, then maybe the screen doesn't react like I want to, or I press slightly wrong and I have to close the menu again and change the right setting or so. It like always takes me longer to set up my phone for proper shooting or like exposure and stuff than doing it on my normal cameras. And that's why for like normal shooting or when I travel, I still prefer actually big camera bodies like the A9 here, just because of all the buttons and dials that I have. It makes such a big difference. Then of course lenses also, you see this bad boy here, it's a pretty big lens. It's not really travel friendly, 70 to 200, 2.8. It's like a bit more than a kilo what it weighs, but I love it because the shots that I can get with this lens are just so cool, and you don't see that often in travel and YouTube videos in general, because most people are just too lazy to carry something heavy around. So it's an easy way to differentiate yourself, but you don't have to carry that heavy gear with you. There are also lots of f1.8 prime lenses, for example, that are pretty lightweight at like 300, 400 grams, give you really good looking footage. And for like tele lenses like that one here, you can totally also get away with the 70 to 300 or so f4 to f6.3 or something like that on APS-C cameras, which you can also use on full frame cameras to just give you longer reach then. So it's like you can totally have very travel friendly lightweight gear with you and get good shots. Just look for f1.8 prime lenses, f2.8 zoom lenses, especially a 16 to 35 is what I use all the time from Sony G Master Mark II. It doesn't weigh that much, 550 grams, and I can shoot pretty much everything. And like most of the shots that you've seen today have been shot on this lens. And the A7C Mark II from Sony, which is also a very lightweight camera. So much about that. Definitely if you're in the beginning, it's totally fine to just start with your phone, but you want to switch to a proper camera in the future just because it's easier to get shots with it and it also looks better. So finally getting a little refresher. I found a nice place here under a rock. At least feels a bit like a small beach, despite seeing that it's actually quite big. Anyway, let's come to the next point, which is that a technique that you can utilize to get better shots, even if they are static and you do it on the go, is to simply add objects in the foreground. Like when you walk around and you see something nice somewhere that you want to capture, ask yourself, is there anything that you could put in the foreground just by holding your camera a bit lower or slightly moving to the side or something like that. Like I show you a few examples here. And that always makes the shots more interesting because it gives the shot depth. Even if you shoot on your phone, if there's something really close to the phone in the foreground and you focus on the background or the midground, then you always get depth because the foreground gets slightly blurry and that looks so much better. And like you can see it in the shots here, like it's definitely different than just getting a normal shot without anything in the foreground. And by the way, you don't actually need to focus always in the background, like where you or other people are walking or something like that. You can also sometimes focus on the foreground object if it looks nice, and having a background out of focus while you're still walking around there or your friends or something else is going on, because people still see that unless it's way too blurry, and that actually makes it look quite nice as well. That was nice. It's nearly 10 a.m. It's time for a coffee now. That makes the morning perfect. I mean, hiking, spending time at the beach and a coffee. Yeah, it can't get better. Nice and creamy. That's how it should be. So let's come to the next tip, which is that whenever there is a conversation going on or anything interesting, or where you expect that something interesting could happen, just keep the camera rolling. Even if you have to point the camera all the time towards yourself and others, and it might feel a little bit weird, especially in the beginning, do it, because there are so many cases where something funny happens, someone says something funny or whatever, there's something interesting for the video, but you miss it because you did not shoot it. And it is a bit contradictory to what I usually say, because usually I tell people that you should get single shots, but that's more for general cinematic B-roll shooting. Like then you want to capture shots that are somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds long usually, because you can just put them together in the timeline to nice sequences all the time and also overlay them easily with B-roll. And it also makes you really intentional with your shots when you shoot B-roll, like you're really thinking about what you get a shot of now and how you frame it and stuff like that. It really helps you. But the moment there's a conversation or something interesting happening, it doesn't really matter anymore if it looks good or so. It's just important that you get the shot, because you can always remove things in the edit in case nothing happened, nothing funny or so, nothing interesting, but you cannot add something that you didn't capture in the first place. So just keep the camera rolling there. And if it's sometimes a bit awkward if you film people and stuff, then what you can do, of course not with such a big lens, but what you can do instead of just having the camera right in front of your face and looking at the screen, or even lower and looking on the screen, just put it into the widest angle you have, like in my case 16mm, because that films everything basically around you. It's really hard not to get something in the frame with such wide angles. And you just hold the camera really low, and you don't even think about the camera anymore. You just don't look at it, you don't look at the screen, but you have it running. You press record before, just leave it down there, and yeah, you talk to someone and you just point the camera a little bit up to ensure that you really have him in the frame, and you get the shot. And of course, cut it out if it's boring. Oftentimes it is boring, but the moment something funny happens or so, you have it captured, and that makes your vlogs better. Yeah, I also need something refreshing. And let's also come to the bonus tip directly, which is that especially in the beginning, you should be really aware of what you're actually passionate about when it comes to shooting videos, vlogging, videography, filmmaking and stuff. Because the more successful you get, the more there will be things that you have to do to keep your business running or to grow it and stuff that you don't truly enjoy, are not necessarily bad, are just things that you do because you have to do them, like scripting your videos or shooting A-roll and stuff. It's not something that you necessarily truly enjoy, but they are just necessary to publish your videos. And the more that comes into your video creation process, the less of the things that you're actually passionate about you will do, and that ends up burning you out over time, because then there's all the pressure there, especially if it's your full-time job, that you have to perform, your videos have to get many views and stuff like that, and that means that you ultimately lose passion. That can really burn you out, that can bring you down, that can make you depressed, and it seems like it's happening to many YouTubers. And a good way to avoid that is to just come back to the things that you truly enjoyed in the beginning, that made you start vlogging or filmmaking and stuff. And for me, that's, for example, just shooting beautiful B-roll. Like, I recognize it every time when I just go out with a nice camera, nice lens, and get some nice shots. It takes a few minutes and I'm directly in the zone and want to continue shooting. This is where the passion directly comes alive, and this is just something that you should focus on mixing in more and more over time, just so that it stays fun and doesn't just feel like a job. I think that might also be one reason why there are so many fake influencers out today. They're only going after the money, showing all these luxury lifestyles and stuff that they probably don't even have actually, that they only rented, and show off with that to sell you some courses, or like, oh, how to make 6 figures and stuff like that. It is not how it works, and I think these people, they oftentimes don't actually have a truly happy life because they're not truly passionate about what they do. So be aware of that, and I think that's ultimately also part of winning on YouTube and other social media platforms, because if you truly enjoy what you're doing, you get better at it automatically because you do it more, and you can also do it more and longer without getting exhausted. And that's really important because it's a marathon and not a sprint. So a little bonus tip here, but keep watching. We're coming to the questions and answers soon. So let's do a question and answer. At first, Escape Beyond Ordinary asks, everything is new for me and I'm stuck with the idea of faceless travel vlogs. What makes standout vlogs? Go ahead, please. Thing is, standout vlogs makes your face, and for me a vlog is something where you show your face, so I would not do faceless travel vlogs. You want to have a personal brand there because that automatically separates you from others, and that means that you have to show your face. Of course, I know it's a bit scary in the beginning, it feels awkward to talk into the camera, it even feels awkward to me right now, but that's something that you will get used to over time. So just show your face, it is perfectly fine, especially when you travel, like you're walking around people that never see you again, so it's not really a problem if it is a bit awkward or so, or you might look a bit weird to other people, so don't worry about that. Then world school travel, I miss a lot of the natural interactions and events because having my camera out feels too intrusive. I would like to know how to communicate my intentions and get permission without feeling like an annoying jerk. It's basically what I talked about before, like if it feels a bit annoying, I just keep the camera low and don't really look at it so that it feels like I would actually not record, but I do. Aside from that, what I oftentimes also do is simply to use a longer lens so that I stand a bit farther away so that people don't necessarily recognize directly that I film them. And if I think it might be that the person doesn't really want to get filmed or want to be featured on my YouTube, I just go there, show them the shot and ask if it's okay if I include that in my YouTube video. And honestly, I never had the case that someone said no, so it's really not a big deal. Just shoot and then show them the shot and ask, or if it's really that a person will recognize that you get a shot of them, just ask before, just go there, hey, it looks quite cool here what you're doing and stuff, is it okay if I film you for a moment? It's perfectly fine. And also there, I never had it that someone said no, so people are generally fine with that, at least here in Asia. I don't film that much in Europe, might be different there, but it's generally also when you ask people, it suggests that you don't have any bad intentions, so why would they say no really? So it's not really a problem, and you're not as annoying as you think. Like, people know today how big and important social media is. And next one, waves of fun. How to structure interesting story to go alongside engaging images. I mean, ultimately, story is always having a beginning, a middle, and an end. So at the beginning, you always introduce whatever the video is about, like a challenge you want to do, problem that you have, something you want to figure out, some information that you want to gather of a place and want to share with someone or with your audience. And then during the video, you figure all the information out, or you solve the problem or whatever, until you're at the climax where you solve the problem and you figured everything out. And the end can usually be quite short. It's just the outcome after you solve the problem, you got the information or whatever. And of course, on YouTube, you also want to redirect people to the next video because that keeps your retention a little bit higher. So it's really not a big problem. And to capture it alongside engaging images, do exactly what I said in the first tip here. Just use all the pauses, all the times where you have a bit of time left to capture all the cinematics and keep the rest just authentic and real. That's also what vlogging is about ultimately. Then neither space what you can film in public spaces. Honestly, I don't really know what you mean what the question is, because in public spaces you can usually film pretty much everything. Depends a bit on the country. I think some countries have a few different laws there. I think usually in Europe, but like here in Asia and also the European countries where I filmed, I never had any problems filming anything. So really, if I go out, I film all. I film nature, I film buildings, I film people, whatever just comes up, and I wouldn't worry about it. It's probably just in your head that it might cause some issues or so. It generally doesn't, and if you think about it, it's like that whatever you can see from public roads or wherever you can go with your own eyes should be fine. So unless you're really filming over a wall or something, maybe some people in their private pool or so, of course you shouldn't do things like that. But everything that's publicly visible, why would you not be able to film it? Like, people see it anyway. So I don't really see a problem there. Can be more of a problem sometimes with drones. Doesn't really make sense to me because it's ultimately the same as filming with a camera, but yeah, some people are oftentimes a bit annoyed of drones. Also here in Asia it's not really a problem, but in especially European countries again it is. So be a bit aware of people's privacy when you fly drones, and the rest is fine. If you're really in doubt if you can film a person, just go there again and ask for permission. It's fine. So ultimately, making better travel vlogs is about finding a balance between shooting and capturing your cinematics or visuals and storytelling. It's actually not that complicated. It's also a lot about getting used to the process, because the more you get used to it, the less you worry about all the things. And by the way, if you want to shoot better travel videos in general, you also have to develop certain habits when you travel. And this is what I talk about in this video here, so check that out next. I hope to see you there, and also consider subscribing for upcoming tutorials and camera reviews and all of the stuff that I do here on this channel. So hope to see you in other videos. I'm out, and I see you in the future.